Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Nashravye shavadesho nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati-uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtikim. Nigamakalpataror galitam palam sukamukadam ritadivasammadam bibada bhagatam rasamalayam muhurahorasikabu vibhavukaham ete chamsakala pumsam krishnastu bhagavan sayam indriyarivyakulam lokam ridyante yuge yuge nama sankirtanam yasya sarva papa pranashanam Pranamadokha samanastam namami harim param. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 24th chapter, Matsya, the Lord's fish incarnation. Text number 16 till 30. So there's no purport to the verses from 16 till 29 and then number 30 has a purport. So I will first read text number 16 till 29, and then together we'll read the text number 30, and then I will read the purport, and then I'll say a few words. Tasyadinataram bhakyam ashutya samahipati kala shapsuni dayainam dayalur nindya ashamam. The merciful king, being moved by the pitiable words of the fish, placed the fish in a water jug and brought him to his own residence. Satu tatraikam ratrena vadhamana kamandalau alabdvatmavakasham va idamaha mahipadem. But in one night, that fish grew so much that he could not move his body comfortably in the water of the pot. He then spoke to the king as follows: Naham kamandala vasmin krichtram vastom mihotsahe kalpayauka savipulam yatraham nivase sukham. O my dear king, I do not like moving in this water pot with such great difficulty. Therefore, please find some better reservoir of water where I can live comfortably. Saenam tata adaya nyadhat odancham nodake tatrakshiptam muhurtena hastatrayam avardata. Then taking the fish out of the water pot, the king threw him in a large well. But within a moment the fish developed to the length of 3 cubits. Nama etad alam rajan sukham vastum mudanchanam pritu dehi padam mayam yatvaham sharanam gatam. The fish then said, My dear king, this reservoir of water is not fit for my happy residence. Please give me a more extensive pool of water, for I have taken shelter of you. Tata daya saragyam Kshipta rajan sarovare tad avrityatmana soyam mahamino anvavadata. O Maharaj Parikshit, the king took the fish from the well and threw him in a lake. But the fish then assumed a gigantic form, extending the extent of the water, exceeding the extent of the water. Naitame svastaye rajan udakam shalilokasa nidehi raksha yogena rademam avidasini. The fish then said, O king, I am a large aquatic, and this water is not at all suitable for me. Now kindly find some way to save me. It would be better to put me in the water of a lake that will never reduce. Ityukta sonayam matsyam tatra tatra vidasini jalashaye sammitam tam samudre prakshipaj jasam. When thus requested, King Satyavrat took the fish to the largest reservoir of water. But when that also proved insufficient, the king at last threw the gigantic fish into the ocean. Kshipamanas tamahedam ihamam makaradaya adantati balavira mamne tsorashtumarasim. While being thrown in the ocean, the fish said to the king, "O hero, in this water there are very powerful and dangerous sharks that will eat me. Therefore you should not throw me in this place." Evam vimoidastena vadata valgubharatim tamahako bhavannasman macharupena mohayan. After hearing these sweet words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of a fish, the king, being bewildered, asked him, "Who are you, sir? You simply bewilder us." Nayam viryo jalacharo drishto smabhi shruto pivam yo bhavanyo janashatam anabivyana sesara. My Lord, in one day you have expanded yourself for hundreds of miles, covering the water of the river and the ocean. Before this, I had never seen or heard of such an aquatic animal. Nunam tam bhagavan sakshat dharir narayana vyayam anugrahaya bhutanam dhatse rupam jalokasham. My Lord, you are certainly the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of God and Narayan, Sri Hari. It is to show your mercy to the living entities that you have now assumed the form of an aquatic. Namaste Purusha Shreshtha Situtpatyapayeshwaram Bhaktanam na prapannanam Mukyo Yatma Gadir Vibho. O my Lord, Master of creation, maintenance and annihilation, O best of enjoyers, Lord Vishnu, you are the leader and destination of surrendered devotees like us. Therefore, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Sarve lilavataraste bhutanam bhuti hetava gyatumicchami yadorupam yad artam bhavatadritam. All your pastimes and incarnations certainly appear for the welfare of all living entities. Therefore, my Lord, I wish to know the purpose for which you have assumed this form of a fish. Now we read together text number 30. Nate aravindak sabado pasarpanam Mrisha bhavet sarva surit priyatmanaha Yate taresham pritakatmanam satam Adidrisho yadvapur adbhutam hinaha Na, never, te, of your Lordship, Aravinda Aksha, my Lord, whose eyes are like the petals of a lotus, Padupasarpanam, worship of the lotus feet, Mrisha, useless, Bhavet, can become, Sarvasurit, the friend of everyone, Priya, dear to everyone, Atmana, the super soul of everyone, Yatha, as, Itaresham, of others, the demigods, Pritakatmanam, living entities who have material bodies different from the soul. Satam, of those who are spiritually fixed. Adidrisha, we have manifested. Yat, that, vapu, body, adbhutam, wonderful. He, indeed, na, unto us. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. O my Lord, possessing eyes like the petals of a lotus, the worship of the demigods who are in the bodily concept of life is fruitless in all respects. But because you are the supreme friend and dearmost super soul of everyone, worship of your lotus feet is never useless. You have therefore manifested your form as a fish. Purport. The demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Surya are ordinary living entities who are differentiated parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord expands Himself through the living beings, Nitya Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. His personal Vishnu Tattva forms, which are all spiritual, are called Samsa. And the living entities who are differentiated parts are called Vibhinamsha. Some of the Vibhinamsha forms are spiritual, and some are a combination of matter and spirit. The conditioned souls in the material world are different from their external bodies made of material energy. Thus the demigods living in the upper planetary systems and the living entities living in the lower planetary system are of the same nature. Nonetheless, those living as human beings on this planet are sometimes attracted to worshipping the demigods in the higher planetary systems. Such worship is temporary. As the human beings on this planet have to change their bodies, tatha, dehantara prapti, the living entities known as Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and so on, will have also to change their bodies in due course of time. As stated in Bhagavad-Gita, Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavatya alpamedasam. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Kamaistair harita jnana prapadyante anya devataha. Those who do not know the position of the demigods are inclined to worship the demigods for some material purpose, but the results of such worship are never permanent. Consequently, here it is said, Yate taresham pritakatmanam satam padopasarpanam risha bhavet. In other words, if one is to worship someone else, he must worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then his worship will never be fruitless. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a slight attempt to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a permanent asset. Therefore, as recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tyaktva sadharmam charanam bhujam hare. One should take to the worship of the lotus feet of Hari, even if this means giving up the so-called occupational duty assigned because of the particular body one has accepted. Because worship in terms of the body is temporary, it does not bear any permanent fruit. But worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives immense benefit. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksodan Militam Yanam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yotapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Samsajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikakanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Brishavano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Eva Kevalam Kolau Nastyeva Nastyeve Gatyaranyata. So Shukadeva Goswami is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj about Matsyavatar, the Lord's fish incarnation. And it is mentioned that this fish incarnation appeared not only one time, but it appeared actually 2 times. And even the other incarnations, it is mentioned like Nishingadev or Varaha, they have appeared several times by the mercy of the Lord. So here, in this connection of the appearance of Matsya, it is to show mercy upon one king, Satyavrat. Of course, not only to him, but to all the conditioned souls. Because when the Supreme Lord is coming, as explained here, and as the king himself is saying, that he comes for the benefit of the fallen conditioned souls. And as Krishna is explaining in the Bhagavad-Gita, Paritranaya Saranam Vinashaya Chaduskritam Dharma Samstamartanaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. I come in every millennium to protect my devotees and to kill the demons and to establish the principles of religion. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna is coming himself once in a day of Lord Brahma. The other times his different expansions are coming. As Prabhupada has explained here, and as it is indicated in the verse already, but then Prabhupada is explaining that the Supreme Lord, Nitya Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. So he is expanding himself in various ways. But he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained in the Bhagavatam Ishvara Paramak, in the Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsam, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. The Krishna, Yashodanandan Gopinath, is known as Swayam Bhagavan. And then Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsam. Then the different expansions are there. They are known as Swamsa, Swa-amsa. They are expansions of Krishna, direct expansions, known as Vishnu Tattva. And Srila Prabhupada is explaining here about the other living entities who have also expanded from the Lord. They are known as Vibhinamsha. Amsha again, expanded forms. Vibhin, Bina. So they are different from the Lord. And it is mentioned by the acharyas in the scriptures that everything is actually coming from the Supreme Lord. And it is simultaneously one and different from the Lord. Not only the Vishnu Tattvas, they are direct expansions of the Lord, and they are simultaneously non-different from Krishna, but there is a difference also. And the spiritual world, the material world, has emanated from the Lord. It is simultaneously non-different and different from Him. And similarly, living entities, Vibhinamsha. And there's a difference between, of course, the Vishnu Tattva and the Jiva Tattva. That is explained by the Acharyas. So the Vishnu Tattva is there, and then Shakti Tattva, the energies of the Lord, and then the living entities, Jiva Tattva. And there's an energy in between, which is Lord Shiva, the Shiva Tattva which is there. Is not as great as the Supreme Lord. Vishnu Tattva is not Vishnu Tattva, but is superior to the Jiva Tattva. And then, of course, the external energy is there, Mahamaya or Durga, Prakriti, the external energy, which is ultimately expansion of the internal energy, Yogamaya. And as explained, so the Shaktis are there, various energies are there of the Lord, which are mentioned in the literatures, Vedic literatures, but the Mool Shakti Shivati Radharani. All the different Shaktis or Lakshmi Devis, Durga Devi, their expansions ultimately of Srimati Radharani. She is the Mool Shakti, and Krishna is Mool Purush, Adi Purush, Swayam Bhagavan, Purushottam. And everything is expanding from him, all the Vishnu Tattvas. Even the Shakti Tattva is ultimately expanding from Krishna. So that is hinted here in this verse by Satyavrat himself. So he's recognizing the Supreme Lord. And therefore he was offering prayers to the fish. He understood that is not an ordinary fish. It is not possible to grow so quickly. And even that a fish can talk. Anybody has seen a fish talking? No. Sometimes you see parrots. They can say Radhe Radhe, Haribol, Haribol. That's all. But the fish, we never saw a fish talking. But the Supreme Lord is completely transcendental, and He can assume any form. That is His pastime, and for the benefit of the fallen conditioned souls. As later we will see, so the inundation was there, and so then He saved the Vedas also, and He saved some of the living entities, the human beings. They were put on a boat, and Satyavrat also, and some great sages, and he was collecting some herbs, and in this way they were saved. And then they were able, and just like in the ocean also there's the, during different times, so the ocean is expanding and then retracting. So similarly the inundation is there, everything is floated over, and then it will retract again, and then people they can live again. So by the transcendental arrangement of the Lord, even in this material world, so this is happening in a very wonderful way, and which the scientists, they cannot fully understand the wonderful workings of this material world. And it is perfectly working, material nature, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. But the devotees, they can understand the wonderful different forms of the Lord, and the expansions and the material world. By the mercy of the Lord, they can have some understanding. But to fully understand the Supreme Personality of God, it is not possible either. Even Anantashesh, with thousands of hoods and tongues and mouth, so he's continuously describing the wonderful glories of the Supreme Lord and His different expansions, and he can find no end. Because Krishna is unlimited, His expansions are unlimited, His pastimes are unlimited. But to some extent we can understand something. If you are surrendered, as mentioned here, that the devotees bhaktanam na prapannanam, they are surrendered to Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, Vibhu, who is great, and the living entities are Anu. And therefore rightly, Namaha, I am offering my obeisances, he's saying, Purusha Shrestha, to the best of all living entities, to you, my Lord, the Supreme Enjoyer. So he recognized the position of the Lord, and he was begging for the mercy of the Lord. So the important point here is mentioning that the Supreme Lord is appearing for the welfare of all the living entities. Here in this particular verse, he is very nicely glorifying the Lord. Aravinda Aksha, that the Supreme Lord, he has very beautiful eyes. Aksha, Aravinda, that is the lotus flower, just like the petals of the lotus flower. So the lotus flower is a very beautiful flower, and the petals are elongated, and so the eyes of the Lord, they appear just like the petals of the beautiful lotus flower. And not only the lotus eyes are there of the Lord, but it is mentioned his face is like a lotus flower or like the full moon. So these are some descriptions are there to give some idea of the beautiful bodily features, transcendental bodily features of the Supreme Lord. In the conditioned state, the conditioned soul, the sadhaka, he cannot see the transcendental form of the Lord. Therefore some comparisons are given to give some idea how beautiful the form of the Lord is. But of course, the transcendental form is beyond the material world, and even the most beautiful descriptions are not complete. But this gives us some idea. And the lotus navel is there. The navel of the Lord is compared also like a lotus flower, and his hands and his feet. So therefore we say the lotus feet. And Pada Upasarpanam. Pada means the lotus feet of the Lord. Upasarpanam, they should be worshipped. Sabai Mana Pada Revindayo, as it is explained about the Ambarish Maharaj. He was fixing his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. And when we take darshan of the deities, it is mentioned we should first see the lotus feet of Sisigoni Tai, and then we see the beautiful form, and then Krishna Balaram, and then Shyama Sundar. Because Radharani's lotus feet we want to see also, but that is only once a year or twice a year that we show the lotus feet. For those who are eager, they can see the lotus feet. And then slowly but gradually we may go upwards and see the beautiful form of the Lord, and especially most attractive is the lotus face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the worship starts with the lotus feet. Even when we offer incense or the ghee lamp, we start with the lotus feet and then we go up. That is the procedure. So it's stressing here in this verse, which we have recited here, that we should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's mentioning Sarva Surit. He's a friend of all the conditioned souls, of all the living entities. And Priyatmanaha. And he's dear to everyone. Priya. And Prabhupada, of course then it is explained Mrisha Bhavet. That Mrisha means useless. Bhavet, it becomes. If one is not worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord, but instead worships the lotus feet of the demigods, or even in the material world, nowadays they worship so many persons, Hollywood star or Bollywood star, the heroes are there, or cricket hero, Bollywood hero, but that is ultimately useless. It will not give any permanent benefit. Only some temporary benefit if you worship these personalities. You feel a little bit good. Oh, I'm a fan of this person, that person. Maybe if you see him, he give you an autogram. But what else he can give you? They cannot give you blessings so that you can live peacefully. That only the Supreme Lord or those devotees who are surrendered to the Supreme Lord, the pure devotees. They can give blessings so that we can live peaceful. Therefore Krishna says, Bhuktaring tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. That is the process how to attain peace. Shanti, everyone wants Shanti. So that is attained if you understand that Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer. And that is the Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, is the Lord of everything. And Suridam, Sarvabhutanam, and is the friend of all living entities. And those who recognize that, so they will be peaceful and they can feel transcendental bliss, Anand, Paramanand. Whereas others, they will not be peaceful. Only temporary peace will be there, and some happiness will be there, but it is not permanent and it is very flickering. It is very shallow. It is not the real happiness. The real happiness is in connection with the Supreme Lord. So therefore it is mentioned here, Mrisha Bhavet, it is useless. It becomes useless if one is not surrendering to Krishna, but instead is surrendering to somebody else. Yata itaresham, as of others, the demigods. And then an important point is mentioning here, Pritak Atmanam, living entities who have material bodies different from the soul. So we understand, we are not this body, we are spirit soul, we are the eternal servants of Krishna. And that is the correct understanding. Jivere sopoi Krishnere nityadas. We are the eternal servants of Krishna. That is the real ego. And false ego is when we are identifying with this body. I'm a human being, I'm an American, I'm Indian, I'm a philosopher, I'm this or that. So that is not the real ego. So he is making here a differentiation. Pritagatmanam and then Satam. Satam means those who are spiritually fixed. Satchidananda Vigraha, those who are on the transcendental platform. Sadguru, Satchishya, those who are transcendently situated. So he's making a differentiation, Pritak Atmanam and Satam. And Prabhupada is mentioning also in the purport, some of the Vivinamsha forms are spiritual. And some are a combination of matter and spirit. That means they're also by nature the eternal servants of Krishna, but they are identifying with his material body. And therefore Prabhupada has explained, the Acharyas have explained, that there are two kinds of Vibhinamsha. One is Nitya Siddha, and one is known as Nitya Badha, or Anadi Badha. Anadi Kal se Badha, a condition since time immemorial. It cannot be traced out, since when they are conditioned. But they are also eternal servants of Krishna. That is everyone's Swarup. But they are not engaged, they are not knowing, and they are not engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore they are known as Nitya Badha. So that is explained in the scriptures and by all the acharyas, and we have to understand that point, and we have to try to come to the liberated platform. And that is possible. Iha yasya haridasya karamana manasagira nikla shavyavastasu jiva mukta sauchate. When we are engaged in the service of the Lord, constantly, with the body, with the mind, and with the words. When we are surrendered to Krishna, then in a purified state, then we become liberated. Jivan mukta sauchate. Even in this material world, we can become liberated. Completely free from the three modes of material nature, from the gross and subtle body. That is the goal. Atma Sakshatkar, realization of our real self as Atma. So that is the goal of life. And of course here Priyatmana, it is mentioning Priya. So the living entities, or the Supreme Lord actually Atmanaha. So in Sanskrit one word can have different meanings. Even Atma, that can refer to Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. And so, who is dear to everyone, is in everyone's heart. Even if somebody is a demon, by default, or by being under the modes of material nature, especially ignorance and passion, then he becomes inimical towards the Lord and the devotees also, other living entities, other beings, human beings, or even animals. But they are also eternal servants of Krishna. But they are covered by the lower modes of material nature. So whereas those in the mode of goodness, they can more easily understand that there is more than the body, the soul is there. And then those who are actually engaging in devotional activities, they can practically realize that we are not this body, that we are soul, spirit soul. And that is actually the goal. So Atma, but Atma, the word Atma, that refers to the Supreme Soul, and then it can refer to the soul, conditioned or not conditioned, and it can refer to the body also, like the embodied being. So it's also actually, and therefore it is mentioned here, that Pritak Atmanam, that living entities or material bodies different from the soul. So, but they're identifying with this body, and they're thinking, I'm this body. So therefore sometimes it is mentioned, Atma refers to the mind, even or the body, according to the consciousness, according to the, for example, the verse, or in Sanskrit language. So one word can have different meanings. And for one object there may be different words are there, just like for the sun. In Sanskrit, Ravi, Bhaskar, what else? Aditya, Surya, so many names are there for the sun, at least 12 are there, maybe more even, but 12 are well known. So Sanskrit is actually the richest language. So Prabhupada made this point of the different living entities, and so we have to try to become fully surrendered to Krishna so we may realize our spiritual nature as the eternal servant of Krishna. And Prabhupada then further on is elaborating on the conditioned souls who are then worshipping sometimes the demigods, but that the benefits are temporary. But it is very common in this world that the majority of the people in this material world, they are not understanding the real nature, or even though they may have theoretical knowledge, but they don't have practical realization. Therefore, there is a need to emphasize on this point, and that those who worship the demigods or other human beings, so their intelligence is alpa medasam, as explained in the Bhagavad-Gita, and Prabhupada is quoting. Therefore, Prabhupada is again also making the point, and as Satyavrat, he addressed the Lord in this way, that we have to worship the Supreme Lord and nobody else. And then by worshipping the Supreme Lord, one will get immense benefit. And the highest benefit is that one is realizing one's nature as eternal servant of Krishna. And the Supreme Lord himself is coming to give this transcendental knowledge. And then he's sending his representatives, the pure devotees, just like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared 500 years ago. And he's the avatar, and he's Swayam Bhagavan. He's no different from Sri Radha Krishna. He has come to give the process for the age of Kali. That is the chanting of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we should try to chant nicely the Maha Mantra in Japa and Kirtan both. Kirtanam Sankirtan, Samyak Rupina, Sarvato Bhavena. We should chant nicely the Maha Mantra in Japa or in Kirtan. Then we will get the full benefit. But then there are other rules and regulations to be followed, which are important, which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he gave some instructions in this regard, but especially he told his disciples that he should write books with the principles how to be followed. And just like to Rupa Goswami in Prayag, Allahabad, so he spoke for 10 days and gave him instructions and told him to come to Braj and to excavate the lost holy places where Krishna performed his pastimes, and to write transcendental literatures for the benefit of the conditioned souls, and also to Sanatana Goswami, as we heard yesterday from Krishnananda Prabhu, and to Raghunath Das Goswami, and which they did for our benefit. And so we heard about the different books which Sanatana Goswami wrote, and one of them, which he didn't mention yesterday, which is the Hari Bhakti Vilas. This is an important book for the Vaishnavas, explained it. There are 20 chapters actually. Hari Bhakti Vilas, 20 Vilas are there. And that is explaining very nicely how we have to perform our devotional service, and the most important limbs of devotional service, like as we know, chanting the holy names, hearing the Bhagavatam, living in the holy place, associating with the Vaishnavas, worshipping the deities. These are known as Pancha Mahatapurna Ang. And Mahaprabhu himself told. And then he told also to Sanatana Goswami and even to Rupa Goswami, and they mentioned that. But then there are some other activities to be followed, like for householders, the different samskars, purificatory rites. These are important to follow also, although they are secondary angas, limbs of devotional service, but it will help to purify the consciousness of the householders and then the family members, then especially the children, so they may be able to properly perform the Mukhya Anga, the most important limbs of devotional service. That he has explained in Hari Bhakti Vilas, the different duties of according to Vana Ashram, although we don't identify as, we don't think that I'm a Brahmana or Kshatriya, but at the same time we are performing the duty of a Brahmana, like a Pujari is a Brahmana. Those who are managing, they are actually just like Kshatriyas. And those who don't have much intelligence and they are simply cleaning, which is also important, they are then classified as Shudras, but we don't address each other as such, but we address each other as Prabhu, as Master, and we see them as the servants of the Lord. And if one is engaged in devotional service, then one becomes transcendental. And even those who are not very intelligent, but if they are sincere, then the Brahmanical qualities they will develop. And then they may even worship the deities, which is usually done by the Brahmanas. But a Vaishnava, even if he's not very intelligent, but if he's taking shelter of the spiritual master, he can worship the deities by the mercy of the spiritual master and the Lord. But the rules and regulations are there to be followed according to Vana and according to Ashram. That is important. Like the sannyasis, they have to be strict, they have to follow many rules and regulations. They should avoid talking too much to women. Of course, here when we are preaching, sometimes brahmacharis and sannyasis, they have to speak to women, but otherwise they have to be controlled. And there's no intimate relationship with women. That is only for the grihastha and only with his own wife. So in this way, different rules and regulations are there. And then we also have the rules, for example, how to install the deities, how to build temples, how to build a house. Different injunctions are there, and if we follow, then we will be peaceful and we can nicely perform our devotional service. Similarly, now it is 9 o'clock, so it is the sign that we are stopped very soon. I will just take a few minutes because actually now we are in Chaturmas. Chaturmas means 4 months, which that is explained by the Acharyas, even Sanatana Goswami, that we should follow Chaturmas. Prabhupada has given a simple formula which we have to do, that is the minimum. Because when he went to the West, the devotees, they had no idea of the Vedic culture. And they were addicted to so many sinful activities, eating meat and drinking, smoking. So he had to tell them to stop these things. And then during Chaturmas, he just told them each month you have to give up one thing, which is the minimum. But then we see, like his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he gave more instructions what to follow. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami has explained what we should do and what we should not do during Chaturmas. But the main thing is that we should increase our hearing and chanting, and we should decrease our material necessities. Like we should, for example, throughout the year we get nice prasadam, and the pujaris have nice mahaprasadam, and we're looking forward for this feast, that feast, which is okay. But during Chaturmas we should try to be a little more austere, and we should try not to sleep too much, and we should try not to speak too much unnecessary things, prajalpa, not too much seeing Facebook, WhatsApp, internet, what's happening in the world. We have to be informed that is okay, but we have to control. And we know it is not easy to control the mind and the senses. Therefore, doing Chaturmas, so it is a kind of reminder that we should do some austerity and decrease the bodily necessities and increase the spiritual activities, so that we may be properly situated on the transcendental platform. And then we maybe try to, as we are longer and longer in Krishna consciousness and we're getting older, then maybe we should try to do a little more. We should try to increase, we should try to see, am I doing better than last year? Am I still the same? So that is a help, so that we may be able to be reminded of what is our prime duty, and to surrender to Krishna and to give up material necessities, material enjoyment. Even as a devotee, as sadhaka, so we have to control our mind, our senses, the eating, the sleeping as much as possible, and not wasting any time. That is also a symptom of those who are absorbed, who are advanced in bhavavasta. One of the symptoms is, of course, the symptoms, main symptom is they are constantly engaged in glorifying the Lord. And then what they are not doing, that is also mentioned. They are not wasting one moment. They are so eager to serve. They are not wasting one moment in unnecessary talk, in criticizing others, in frivolous activities. So we should take this opportunity of this Chaturmas, and at least we should not take spinach in the first month, and the second month we should not take any yogurt, in the third month not any milk, in the fourth month no urad dal. So that is the minimum to be followed. So we should try to do that. And so we should be conscious of this Chaturmas and try to improve somehow or other our bhajan, our devotional service. Hare Krishna. Any question? Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you for the class. You mentioned the Hari Bhakti Vilas.
Yes.
I just started reading it. There's a lot of really strict standards.
Yes.
And I was wondering how important is this to follow that, because like one of the standards is observing the guru and the guru observing the disciple for 1 year. But
yes.
when I talk to devotees and they say they get initiated just like that.
Well, nowadays, it was before like that, but nowadays even from the GBC there's a rule there. That first you have to take shelter of the spiritual master, and then you have to take the disciple course. It is recommended actually that the spiritual master is observing the disciple, and the disciple should be sure that the spiritual master is he should be uttamadhikari actually. He should be advanced, highly advanced. So for that it will take a little time. That is recommended in the scriptures. But at the same time, you have to see time, place, and circumstances. And it is just some recommendation. Therefore, the scriptures we should read in the association of those who are more advanced. Like in Hari Bhakti Vilas, some things are mentioned which are maybe not for this day, time, place, and circumstance we have to see. Therefore, even he himself, he is giving a commentary, and he has mentioned that some of the instructions I have written here in the Hari Bhakti Vilas are also due to the presence of many of the Brahmanas which are very rigid in their performing of the different rules and regulations. Therefore, I try to write in such a way not to give them a chance to criticize the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It is true that some of the rules are very strict, like it is mentioned after going to the bathroom, second number, you have to wash your hands 10 times. So, which you may not have to do, but you have to clean nicely your hands. And so we have to understand the principle, what he wants to say. And then we have to see time, place and circumstances. And now the world is so fast and we don't have much time. And so we cannot do exactly as it is mentioned. But we have to understand the principle and apply according to time, place and circumstances, according to now. Therefore, many regulations are there for Chaturmas. Like it is mentioned, you should not shave for 4 months, or at least 2 months, or at least only once a month, on Purnima, on full moon day. Only on that day you shave, you should not cut your nails. But then Prabhupada, he went to the West, and because they were all hippies, they had long hair and beard, and he wanted them to shave up. And he knew that because if one has a habit, sometimes it is difficult to give it up. So he told them you have to shave regularly. But he mentioned at least once a month you must shave up. Because it is mentioned in the scriptures. And his Guru Maharaj told Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And even there's a photo, and he was saying one time, there's a photo of Bhaktisiddhanta with beard, because he was following Chaturmas. Because it is mentioned Hari Bhakti Vilas. And he was saying all my disciples should follow. But Prabhupada is a special case, because he had to preach in the West. So according to time, place and circumstances, he made an adjustment. But the principle was there still, that during Chaturmas, you try to increase your spiritual activities and decrease your material necessities. And so he told his disciples that now you give up smoking, drinking. Even in the beginning, some of the devotees, they were going to see Prabhupada, they were hearing him, even some they were initiated, but still then they were, because they were addicted in the beginning, Prabhupada quickly gave initiation, because he had to quickly have some disciples and start the movement. Some were initiated, but they were still going out sometimes and smoking. But then Prabhupada, after some time, then he was telling them, once you're initiated, you have to be very strict. You have to follow the rules and regulations. So, but then Chaturmas, he kept it simple. And even now, so we try to be simple, because the most important thing is, next to our own bhajan, of chanting the holy names and worshipping Krishna, we should try to help others. Yadadeyataika Krishna Padesh, as Mahaprabhu told. That is even more important than following Chaturmas, is to give whatever we got to others. So we may do a special endeavor during the month of Chaturmas to do more book distribution, and not just to think of our own bhajan and chanting. But if you can do both, it is even better. Achar and prachar. We should be exemplary in our behavior, in our bhajan, and then we will be more effective in our preaching also, in our prachar. And therefore it is important to understand the Hari Bhakti Vilas according to time, place and circumstances. And it is true that some of the instructions which are there, and as we say just now, that the list of the following of Chaturmas is very long, what you should not take and what you can take. But Prabhupada just gave one, because he understood it was not practical. Is that all right? Anything else?
You were mentioning about worshipping the Lord's lotus feet.
Yes.
And you also mentioned that worshipping the lotus feet of demigods. So,
Worshipping the lotus feet of the demigods? No, we don't worship the lotus feet of the demigods.
yes, I was confused.
No.
Thank you.
No. Yeah. We're not worshipping the demigods, but we may respect them. We should respect them. We must respect them. But we worship the lotus feet of the Lord. But worshipping anyone else, The demigods, as many are doing, especially you can see in India, they're worshipping the demigods, but that becomes useless, that worship. And that should not be done. We only worship Krishna, the lotus feet of Krishna, and not the demigods. Okay. Anything else? Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.